Hello YouTube, this is Carlos from Carlos and Jane Vlogs. How's everybody doing? I hope y'all are staying out of trouble. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, enable the notifications, and like this video. Alright, so today we're going to take a look at the Dell Latitude D630 14-inch business notebook from 2007. This computer is a one that I bought used recently. There's not much up front. You see the battery there, and then there's a speaker there. It's just only one speaker. These kinds of computers, they weren't really made for multimedia use. That is a screen latch right there, which holds the screen down. Pretty neat for its time. Okay, so this is a 14-inch screen. Right at the bottom of the screen, there are 4 buttons. The 3 right there, the 3 little buttons are actually volume control buttons, and then of course there's the power button. The keyboard's original. It has the touch stick or pointing stick with secondary left and right mouse buttons. This is the main touchpad. This particular computer came with a fingerprint reader, and later on I learned that the fingerprint actually works on startup. So you actually have to swipe your fingerprint if you set it up before the computer actually turns on. Okay, so on the left hand side of the computer, this is the PCMCIA card slot. Right below it is the hard drive. Then that is the Wi-Fi switch, FireWire, 3.5mm headphone jack, and then 3.5mm microphone jack. There's a grill right there and a security lock slot. On the back, you have an Ethernet port, your phone jack, USB, 2 USB connections in the back. One of them was broken, but it's okay. That is a serial port, the VGA port for connecting to an external monitor. That's the DC power jack, and then another fan grill. On this side, you got 2 more USB ports, and this drive is actually removable. It's a little hard to do with the computer sitting down like this, so I gotta improvise. Okay, so this is known as the Dell D-Bay slot. The D-Bay slot has, I believe, 4 options that you can put. First is the CD-ROM drive. Then there is the battery. There's the floppy drive. There's the hard drive. Oh, so there's actually 5. And then finally, if you don't want to use anything, there's just like a thing that they call it a travel light module. Basically, it's just a plastic shell that goes in and covers it up. So just put it in. Again, I'm just gonna push it in like that. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. That's the thing to hold it in place, and there's actually a screw that you can put on the bottom to hold that thing like even tighter. It's not needed though. Alright, let's go ahead and power up the computer. So one thing that I didn't mention was that on the left hand side there's actually a card reader. It's in the middle by the power jacks or audio jacks, and it's for security purposes. Basically, it's another way to authenticate yourself along with the fingerprint, as these computers were meant for business use. Back in the like 2010, 2011 era, you saw these computers everywhere, like hospitals, schools, banks. A lot of my teachers when I was in high school, they used this computer, and I thought this was just the coolest thing ever. The black exterior with the silver interior, or silver lining, it just looked great. So we're gonna go ahead and log in here. This is another demo generic account just for showing off the computer without showing off all my junk. So what I'm doing right here is moving the camera around a bit just to get an idea of what the viewing angles look like. I don't know if this is a problem with this computer, or rather this screen, or what, but I've noticed that the colors are a bit yellow when compared to other like more modern computers. Again, this could just be like the age of the computer, or like how the screen was lit, as back then a lot of these computers used fluorescent tubes. So now we're gonna go into Chrome. I want to do like an audio test, audio and video test. HD video is okay. If you start going beyond that, you're gonna notice some stumbling. That little speaker right there at the front, that's the only speaker this thing has. I guess you could say it's an overachiever. Okay, so let's go ahead and get out of that. Next, I want to take a look at... let's open a program. Let's open up something like Word. This is a modern program. This is the Office 365 version, so we can see how well like regular programs work. I mean, if you try to upload something heavy like AutoCAD or 3ds Max or like a video editing software, of course this computer is going to fall on its face. I put a 32-bit version of Windows 7, so what happens is basically I only get 4 gigs of RAM to play with. Story has it that this computer can actually support up to 8 gigs of RAM unofficially, but you have to have the latest version of the BIOS. Okay, so next I want to take a look at how the computer handles gaming. The game that I'm playing, Halo Custom Edition, is actually an old game. It runs on DirectX 8.1, so it's not too much for this computer to handle. The resolution, I believe, is either 800 by 600 or 1024 by 768, so of course it's not pushing the computer as hard as it should, but it's okay. It's playable. Gonna go into multiplayer here, just something really quick. On a side note, these D630s, along with some of their like other cousins, like the Precision family of computers from the time, or the D830, the big brother, came with 2 versions of like a video card. This computer, I got lucky. I checked it when I got it because you can either get the base Intel graphics adapter or the higher end NVIDIA graphics processor. And while the NVIDIA processor gives you better like capabilities, things that like the games will play better, and just overall just functions better, back in those days the graphics card build quality wasn't the best. So what happens is you'll be seeing like strange, funky little lines on the screen, and you would either have to replace the motherboard, or if you were daring or had the ability to, repair the motherboard. So even though I have the lower end, lower spec adapter here, it works in my favor because that means this computer will still work for a bit longer than the other one. I'd say this computer is quite snappy despite not being able to play modern games or high quality videos. The browser is okay. If you try to play Netflix and go on the browser, you're going to notice some stalling on the Netflix video. But Netflix works good. Originally, I was planning to do like a little demonstration of more video playing, but I decided against it to avoid copyright. You know what I mean? Just you gotta be careful nowadays. Alright, so let's go ahead and shut down the computer here, and just do a little bit of another once-over on it. Windows 7 doesn't really take that long to shut down. I did some research on it, and what I saw is that in Windows 10, it shuts down, but then it kind of goes into like a hibernate to make startup faster, even though most of the time it's not even that fast. So the computer will be off in just a second here. Okay, and then we're going to take a look under the hood. Okay, so at the bottom of the computer, you'll see the battery. The hard drive is right next to it. Those are screws to hold the hard drive in place. Underneath the battery, you'll see a SIM card slot. This was for 3G cellular broadband, as some of these computers actually had a wireless cellular adapter inside for internet use on the go. At the top, you'll see a long connector. That is the D-dock slot or D-dock connector. You basically sit the computer on this dock here, and then you can connect a wire, or not a wireless, but like a USB keyboard and mouse, the power adapter, and then other like ports such as like a printer port or parallel port. Here we're gonna take a look at the memory. There are two places to put memory in this computer. The first place is right there on that little small access cover. You just pull it off like that. Or you gotta loosen it a little more. Okay, so it's a little tricky for me because I was watching this through the phone screen and like while I was recording. So just undo that screw right there, and then once it's off, pull the cover off, and the memory is right below it. Just one memory stick. It snaps into place and snaps out. That's the D-dock connector that I was talking about just a moment ago. So I just put that back on and screw it in. And then I'm going to show you one more thing, just kind of like a how-to on this computer. There is a secondary memory slot, but to get to it, you have to remove the keyboard. Alright, so to remove the keyboard, you have to open the display and tilt it a bit back. Then you take a small flat blade screwdriver, put it under this little notch, and you pry off this little access faceplate right there. You gotta bend the screen back just a little bit. And then just carefully pull it up. Don't break it. This is an old computer, so the plastic can become like brittle. Now once that is off, there's some screws at the top of the keyboard, and you just take those screws out. Just bear with me if I kind of struggle, because I'm doing this one-handed and watching through the phone screen, so I want to see exactly what I'm recording. Okay, so we're almost there. One thing, just be careful with the screws, because I don't believe that these screws are like the places where you put the screws in. I don't believe they're marked, so you won't see the thread type or length in case you have to get a replacement. Unless, of course, you have a parts computer just like this. This is actually my first time taking this computer apart. I've taken other ones like it. That's how I took the like how I knew to take off that little access cover there. But one thing that caught my attention is I didn't realize that the audio and power controls at the front, or rather at the end right there, were integrated into the keyboard with my the other one that I had, like I think it was the D520 or the Inspiron 600M. That was part of a second board that was just connected to the module, or to the motherboard rather. So there are some clips, so you want to be careful when pulling up the keyboard, and you just pull it out like that. And then you'll see the other memory stick there, right by where the secondary touchpad buttons are. That spot there that says WWAN, that is where you put the cellular card if you want to have a cellular broadband capability. And then also, right next to it, you can put the Bluetooth module for Bluetooth operation. Okay, so let's go ahead and put it back together. Just snap it into place, and then once you carefully put it in place, start putting the screws in. Alright, so that should be everything there. Once you get that last screw in, the next thing you want to do is just make sure everything's flush with the palm rest. No parts of the keyboard are sticking up or look like they're not clipped on right. And then once that is done, take the little bezel right there, put the left hand side into the frame put it first as the it has those little tabs to hold it down into place. Then just gently push it in. Again, you don't want to break this thing. And then afterwards, just start pushing it, working your way to the right-hand side. That little dot, that little hole right there where the power indicator lights are, is actually a microphone. So this computer had a lot of stuff for its time. There's a little square at the bottom of the screen that's also like it's an ambient light sensor, so it helps with adjusting the brightness automatically if you so desire. I've turned the computer on here just to test it to make sure everything's working, even though I didn't really take anything apart. It's just good to make sure everything's good to go on it. Looks like the BIOS working, and then we're also going to just let it start up really quick, even though we're just going to stop it midway. Okay, so it looks like it's good to go. Okay, so right here you see the D630, and right next to it, on a side note, this is its baby brother, the D430. You'll be seeing this one real soon. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed that tour of the Dell Latitude D630 laptop. Is it a good computer? Absolutely. Is it good to use in today's time? Not so much. I mean, it is dated. The computer's from 2007. It has an Intel Core 2 Duo processor, so it's not going to be at the forefront. Now, while the computer that I reviewed previously, the Dell Latitude 3480, while it does have an i7, it will definitely be a far superior machine in any way. But one place where the D family, like the D630, wins is in build quality. This computer, along with the other one, the D430, they have held together so well over these past few years compared to the 3480. It's just the 3480 has a lot of problems. It had to do with the keyboard, the battery, the Windows installation image didn't even work right. So, anyways, enough of that. Stay tuned for more videos from both me and Jane. And be sure to like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already, and enable the notifications. Alright, everybody, take care. Have a great night. Bye-bye.